guys, it's Ariana. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we're going to be reading some more scary stories. As per usual, I have my wicked candle in here, making the whole room smell like caramel apple, and I have my hot chocolate candle. I will come on here in probably the next video and show you guys some of my other candles because I have a collection. I have a crazy amount of candles, and I'm going to show you guys some of my favorites because I always show a candle at the beginning of my videos. Also, please ignore this stain right here. I was baking and I got Greek yogurt literally all over my arm and I didn't even notice, so ignore it. I don't have anything else to ramble about, so let's just jump on into these scary stories. So I'm gonna read some of my Reddit stories because I do have a bunch that I want to read and they're all really good. So this is from the paranormal section and it's from the Reddit author CFD Callahan and it's titled Guardian Angel Experience. Yesterday I was cleaning a client's house. I was wrapping up mopping their stairs and I had a lot on my mind. So I was on autopilot and not really paying attention to where I was walking. As I was walking backwards while mopping, all of a sudden, I heard a firm male voice in my head say stop. I instantly stopped and I looked down to see that if I were to have moved even one more inch, I would have fallen down the stairs. I felt more shocked than anything that I almost could have died or at least gotten seriously hurt. It didn't even register creepy to me that I heard a voice in my head that wasn't mine. Another time this happened was a few months ago. I was driving to work and I was driving down a road with the speed limit of 55. I was coming up to an intersection that always has people running the red light or pulling out in front of you. A lot of accidents happen at this intersection. As I was almost at the intersection, I see that there's cars coming towards me on the opposite side of the road. No big deal. They were going straight and so was I. Wrong. I then heard a firm male voice in my head say slow down. I instantly hit my brakes and the car coming at me that was going straight ended up turning right in front of me. If I hadn't slowed down, both of our cars would have been totaled and we would have been both seriously injured or dead. I think I definitely have a guardian angel watching over me. And that's their entire experience, but that's really freaking cool. I wanted to include that one because that one is so fucking cool. I love that. The second I read that, I was like, wow, that is just such a cool experience. I have never had anything really happen like that before. So I find that really interesting. I don't know if you guys believe, well, you guys are watching paranormal videos, so you guys may actually believe in guardian angels and their spiritual world and stuff, but I've never actually had anything happen like that, and that is something very interesting, and I'm very interested in learning more about that and reading more stories. So if you guys have any stories about guardian angels or that kind of experience, please send me a DM and I will definitely read more of your guys' stories because that is so fascinating. The next story that I want to read is from the scary story section and it's from the Reddit author specialist_results_77 and this one's titled The Man in the Closet. This all started when I moved into my current home. I was about 5 years old and I have 2 brothers. Me and my family never had a lot of money, so all we could afford was a small house. Me and my brother had to share a room because the house was only a 2-bedroom. It was small and cramped, and it always had a rotten sort of smell. My brothers were 8 and 10 at the time, so they decided that they wanted to have bunk beds because that was cool at the time. So I had my own bed, which I wasn't complaining about. My bed faced our small closet that barely fit all of our clothes, and my brother's bunk bed was right beside mine. When we first moved into this house, I always had this feeling that something was watching me in the room when I was alone. When my brothers were with me, I suddenly felt normal. I can never forget the one night my brothers weren't home that night because they were both at sleepovers. I've always hated the idea of sleeping alone because it was always too quiet for me. Just the feeling of sleeping alone in the dark room sent shivers down my spine for some reason. I finally fell asleep and everything was going fine until I heard the creak of the tiny closet door. It was slow and loud. I was frozen with fear. I didn't know what to do, and all I could do was slowly open my eyes, and that's when I saw it. A tall, lanky, pale man crouched down in my closet. He had a low glow of yellow in his eyes. His eyes were huge, and they looked like 2 black holes with a little dot of yellow in the middle of them. Its hair was so long you could have mistaken it for a woman if he looked like a normal human being. His hair was dark, and it blended with the pitch black room. There was a nightlight plugged in right beside the closet my brother used because he was also scared of the dark. This distorted figure slowly reached his hand out into the nightlight, not breaking eye contact with me. His hand made it to the nightlight, and that's when I screamed. I screamed bloody murder, and I didn't stop until my parents were in the room holding me. I finally opened my eyes, and it was gone. I sobbed and told my dad that there was a man in the closet, and I said that he was going to kill me. My dad grabbed one of my brother's toy bats and opened the closet. Nothing was there, except for clothes, and the man was gone. No trace of him anywhere. The next couple of nights, I slept in my brother's bed until he kicked me off and made me sleep in my own. I didn't sleep that night, or the next night. My parents were getting worried about me, so they put me into therapy. I talked to this middle-aged woman who had a thick accent and was sometimes hard to understand, but soon grew into it. On the last session we had together, she told me something that I will never forget. If you don't confront your problems, they will only grow bigger until it's too much for you to handle. That night, I knew I was going to confront this thing. I kicked my brothers out of the room and I made them sleep on the couch. I sat with a flashlight in my bed in the pitch black, waiting for the slightest bit of noise. I finally heard the sound of the closet door, the slow creaking, and the 2 yellow dots in my closet. I quickly turned on my flashlight and I saw it. I saw this disgusting, demonic creature that hid in my closet, that only showed itself when he was alone with me and hid itself from everyone in the house. I'm sorry if you guys hear noise in the background. My neighbor is pumping music outside. I'm really hoping you guys don't hear it. Its arms were long and skinny. Its legs were huddled close so that the figure could fit its body in the closet. Its head was long and its eyes were too big for its face. It didn't have a mouth or a nose, but it still managed to make the sound like it was crying quietly. I kind of felt bad for it. I slowly crawled closer to it, not daring to break eye contact. It just stared at me, not moving, not breathing. "Go away," I told it. "You're not wanted here." He slowly crawls out of the closet and he starts to cry. Small tears are flowing out of its big eyes, and the sounds coming from him were heartbreaking, and I started to feel bad. As it stood up, it could barely stand up straight. He was so tall that he had to tilt his head to stand straight. I was terrified, thinking he was going to kill me right then and there, but then it just disappeared. I don't know what to think or what to do. I didn't know if I got rid of him or just for the time being. I soon found out that when I was alone, I didn't feel like I was being watched anymore. I remember being so relieved, like I was a new person, braver and stronger. To this day, I will never forget the details of its skin, the cuts all over its body, the way it looked down at me, the feeling of being in the same room with this creature. The name I gave it was Amman, and I don't know why it named it that as a child, but when I saw that thing, that was the first word that popped into my head. I have never told anyone about this to this day. It has been a secret only I know until now. And that's how they ended the story. So I don't know if that's a fictional story or not, because that is in the scary story section. I think they're supposed to be real scary stories that like actually happen to you, but I'm not entirely sure. So if the Reddit author can give us a confirmation down in the comments below, that would be great, because I don't actually know if that was fiction or not. It was still a really cool story. So the next story that I want to read is from the ghost story section. It's from the Reddit author Yum Dom, and it's titled, "It's been here a year and it's slowly getting worse." Hello Reddit friends, I'm writing this at 1 a.m. with the TV on, like that's gonna save me, because I'm scared, but I just want to share what's happening. This is a warning. This will be a long post, so bear with me. I moved into this apartment roughly a year ago with my fiance. He worked overnight at the time, and I worked during the day. From the first night we moved into this apartment, it felt off, like something was there, and you always expect to see someone walk out from behind the corner. I never had the bedroom door open while he was gone, and I have to have the TV on even while I sleep. You just felt a presence you couldn't explain. Shortly after moving in, I gave birth to my daughter. The first time I saw something was a few months in. I was sleeping, and I woke up to the sound of the front door opening and hearing my fiance walk in. I saw and heard him walk past the door and go into the kitchen, moving stuff around. I assumed he was grabbing leftovers from dinner, so I pretended I was sleeping like I always do, waiting for him to come in, except he never did. I looked at my phone and it just turned 4 a.m., so he wasn't even off work yet. But I had just saw him. After this, things just disappeared. Like, things you didn't realize for months were gone. One morning, my daughter woke up and I made her a full bottle, but had fallen back asleep right as I made it, so I placed it on the bed next to her, knowing that when she woke up, I would at least have a bottle. I woke up to my fiance coming home and our daughter waking up to him, but the bottle was gone. He thought I was pranking him about already having a bottle ready. It literally vanished into thin air. We looked under the bed, under the pillow, everywhere. To this day, we haven't found that probably now rotten, ugly bottle. He finally got a day job and I had to quit my job to stay at home full time. Only it's been terrifying. Some days when I'm preparing food, I just feel like someone's watching me and constantly have to look behind me, waiting to see if someone is actually there. A few months ago, I put my daughter down for a nap, but she was still awake, so I started goofing around with her. Her crib is right next to the heater. If anyone in New England knows that heaters wrap around the room on the floor, so just imagine that. I hear something heavy fall and smack off the heater. It startled my daughter, but I didn't want to act alarmed. I kept trying to logically put together what had fallen, but I didn't see anything. Another time, in the past few months, I was laying in bed, and I wasn't sleeping. I was just trying to mentally prepare what I had to do. Change her diaper and feed her. Then I heard this loud bang, and then I look over when I heard the sound and watched my 2 stuffed animals shaking as if something had hit them. They stopped just as fast as they started. I just watched them for a few minutes, trying to logically put together what had happened. I even looked at the window that I had opened, trying to think if it was the wind, but then remembered the sound and got up and looked to see what had thrown against the wall to find nothing was between them. Mind you, one of these stuffed animals that was violently shaking has a bell on it, and it didn't go off, but I watched it shake. My daughter's too young to tell me if she sees anything, but I know she does. We always hang out in the living room playing, and sometimes you hear something climbing in my bed or stuff moving, and I know it's not in my head because her eyes will look in the same direction I am looking as she hears it too. Sometimes me and my fiance will hear a loud crash, like something's heavy falling over, to find nothing. We found a lighter in our daughter's crib right under her when we didn't put it there. One morning, me and my fiance were laying in bed and we heard two pants hit each other and we were just staring at each other like, what the fuck? And what triggered for me to write this was I was just texting my friend how a few days ago, me and my fiance were sitting on the couch and I watched something black appear and fall over, then disappear. I literally watched it, but it was gone, so I just stared at the now empty spot. I looked over at my fiance to see if he saw what I saw, but he was too focused on his phone. Right when I sent this to my friend, I heard something that sounded like rice get thrown in the kitchen. This is a constant thing, except some months everything's calm and you don't hear or see weird stuff. It's like it's gone, but you feel when it comes back. It's surprisingly really active during the day and only occasionally at night. My friend who has experienced things too think whatever is here is just trying to be noticed, but putting a lighter in my daughter's crib is a red flag. Everyone who's come to my apartment has a story of hearing or seeing something, so I know it's not me and I'm not crazy. I feel like the longer we're here, it's getting worse. I also wanted to add that we're in the basement and we have upstairs neighbors, and sometimes when he's not home, you hear something walking around. I've wanted to ask him if he's seen or heard anything because he's been here a lot longer, but I don't want to seem crazy since not everyone believes in ghosts. But there's no way the entire building doesn't experience something. It just can't be our apartment. And that's how the end of the story. The lighter getting put in your daughter's crib is really scary. I hate that. I definitely think that is a red flag. I would be very interested in an update if you actually talk to your neighbor and see if they've actually experienced anything, because that would be really interesting. But I agree with you. It wouldn't just be like your guys' one area of the apartment. If there's like an upstairs neighbors too, if your whole house is haunted, your whole house is haunted. So I'd be really interested if you have an update, if you've actually talked to your neighbor to see if they've seen or heard anything as well, because that is really interesting. Seeing the black shadow like disappear and your boyfriend didn't see it is really creepy. And I agree, I don't really like being at home alone either, because I always feel like something is like watching me or staring at me and I turn around and nothing's there. I always get that weird feeling, but I'm a giant chicken. So I definitely know what you mean. But maybe you guys should consider moving. If you can find somewhere that's affordable, that's not haunted, that might be a better situation for you guys, especially if you have a newborn and this thing is putting things in your daughter's crib. That's really scary and terrifying. So I don't really like that. This is all the stories that I got from Reddit. So I'm going to end the video here because we are at the 16-minute mark. So this is going to be a shorter video than I usually do, but it is very hot. We are in a heat wave. It is like 28 degrees in here right now and it is way too warm. I am sweating and I am very uncomfortable. So as per usual, if you made it to the end of the video, leave me your favorite purple emoji. If you guys have any scary stories, any paranormal stories, or any Let's Not Meet stories that you guys want to share with the channel, please feel free to message me on Instagram, or you guys can send me an email. I'm going to go through my email in the next couple of videos and try to get through as many of those as I have, because I have quite a lot of them compiled up, and then I have a couple DMs from you guys as well. But if you guys have any scary stories that you want to share, please feel free to message me. Like I said in my last video, if you guys have messaged me in the past and I haven't gotten to your videos, please resend me a message, because there might be something wrong with your message that would stop me from being able to read it, because if it's written poorly or if it's sent in a way that like Instagram messed it up and I can't understand what's going on, then I obviously can't read it in a video because it would be too hard and I'd have to stop and start too often. So just check your message, make sure it was sent properly, and if it looks fine and there's no issue, then just send me another message so that I can get it pushed to the top and we can read it from there. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below for more content like this, and I will see you guys at the next video.